issues and the areas also there that we think that need to be critically addressed for the presidential election that is coming up next Saturday, or coming Saturday, being 25th February 2023, to be popular, credible, inclusive, and acceptable, considering the heterogeneous or pluralistic composition of the country. So, as you may know, as you must have been told, this coalition, coordinated by InterSociety, still falls in line as research and investigative, human rights and democracy coalition, midwifed by the International Society for Civil Liberties and Rule of Law. So we have brainstormed and holistically, come up with these 11 issues for 2023 presidential election to be popular and acceptable. That definitely hinges on these 11 points. So let me quickly look at the 11 points. You have one here, 2023 presidential election, as Nigerians lack chance of getting the country back on track or pushing the country into intractable, complex uncertainties. There may be far-reaching consequences and social control system breakdown after 2023 presidential election if the presidency of Southeast extraction is controlled or denied. Elected presidency of the Southeast must pluralistically ensure equitable distribution of 19 top political and security offices among Nigeria's geopolitical zones. Then you have fueling youth uprising, or BOSOYE in bracket, mob action against Southeast political bootlickers and counterfeit Biafra agitators. The 2023 presidential elections and Southeast presidency project are violently disrupted or denied. Then you have, like in the 2019 presidential election, the Nigerian military must be stopped from militarizing and terrorizing the February 2023 presidential poll and paving the way for a determined outcome. Then you have also, like in 2019 presidential election, the January 2020 governorship Supreme Court, Imo governorship Supreme Court travesties of justice, the Nigerian judiciary must be closely monitored and stopped from a disgraceful outcome or repeat of the 2019 armada of electoral fraud or harakiri in the post-2023 presidential litigation. That is to say that days of Zainab Bukashua at the Court of Appeal and Mohammed Tanka at the Supreme Court must not be repeated. You go through. Then you have the INEC is putting February 2023 presidential poll in danger by publicly failing to answer 16 critical questions over permanent voters cards, voters list, presidential poll date, and voter security and protection. Then unmasking dangerous areas for Igbo voters in Lagos and northern Nigeria, requiring election day international monitoring and effective policing and the voters protection. Then we have our own Imo and Ebonyi State. It must be closely monitored as most dangerous areas for independent and conscientious voters in the Southeast or in the East. Of course, somebody recently who said is the outgoing governor of Kaduna State recently, took a swipe on Christians and what have you, by trying to, say one or two things, make derogatory remarks. So we have investigated and observed that 4,000, not less than 4,000 Christians died, and 6,000 others abducted in Kaduna since 2015 under A-Rufai over radical propagation of Muslim gubernatorial ticket. Because the Muslim presidential ticket originated from somewhere, and we have traced the route to the doorstep of Kaduna State. Then, of course, election day global search right and monitoring, a must in 12 presidential rigging northern state of Kano, Katsina, Kaduna, Jigawa, Kebbi, Sokoto, Zamfara, Borno, Bauchi, Yobe, Adamawa, and Niger State, so as to disallow 18 million projected dead votes from being injected by INEC into the February 25, 2023 presidential vote. So like this last one, we are going to have a table at the end of the reading of the text with instances, forensic findings from our investigation right into this particular, dead zone as far as 2023 presidential election is concerned. So that is what we have today for you, for the world, that these are the 11 issues, critical issues and areas that with capacity to mar the 2023 presidential polls if unchecked, and push the country into post-election complex, intractable uncertainties. Then having said that, these are the issues. Let me have that number one, if it is possible here, after the highlight. If it is not, let me read it from here. Sorry. That thing has shell. Yeah, has shell. No, it has shell. But if not, let me read for you. Well, no problem. No, if you can't find it, we can take it from there. Oh, go below one more than here. You need me. Did you see it? The one over now one on there. So, but let us not so but what we are going to have, what we have today is, I have just highlighted the 11 points, issues we are having today that we intend to present to Nigerians and the international community. We must have to understand the fact that this press conference has a lot of target audiences. We have the international community or international observers dimension to this press conference. We have the INEC dimension to this press conference. We have the military dimension to this press conference. We have the policing dimension to this press conference. We have INEC dimension to this press conference, and so on and so on, and so on and so forth. So this press conference is geared towards drawing the attention of the international community as well as other critical stakeholders in the country's electoral process to be mindful of these 11 key points, agenda or areas that must have to be addressed so as to prevent the 2023 presidential election from, from being roguish and thereby plunging the country into post-election compressed uncertainties. The importance of this press conference we had on 10th of February, the InterSociety, as a matter of fact, has on 10th of February, written to 32 international democracies, informing them of this 11 points agenda. Let me use this opportunity to mention them because of their importance. We have EU, United States, those we wrote. The EU, United States, the UK is a participatory thing so that when the reader is misstepping, you can come in and aid. At least we have professors and lawyers here. So it's participatory so that it doesn't fall on the table of the reader alone. So like I said, we wrote the EU, European Union, US, UK, Canada, France, Germany, State of Israel, Italy, Switzerland, Belgium, Denmark, Scotland, Ireland, Spain, Czech Republic, Portugal, Norway, Finland, Austria, Netherlands, Sweden, Poland, Greece, Hungary, Bulgaria, Slovakia, Australia, the Vatican, South Korea, Brazil, Mexico, and the intergovernmental institutions such as the United Nations. And I can tell you that 95% of them received the letters written to them. So the essence of writing them is to inform them about what Nigeria's INEC is truly cooking. You can look at an electoral empire conducting election and is battling with 1,241 court cases. 1,241 court cases. So because of owing to its shambolic preparations, corporate incompetence, and partisanship. So that tells you that it's not well, all is not well with what is going on in the country. So thank you. So this particular page summarizes everything. First of all, we are having issue with the fact that we must have to let the whole world to know that INEC is going into this election going by its constitutional competence and authority with 77.7 million citizens of voting age, Nigerian citizens of voting age, that is who are of what lawyers call full-blood citizenship, full-blood Nigerian citizenship, disenfranchised. And let me tell you, there are two things to election in any country. The gateway, negatively, the gateway into election rigging is massive disenfranchisement of citizens of voting age. And it's a constitutional matter. You go to chapter 4 of the Constitution, is there. You find it there. It's also justiciable. You go to African Charter on Human and People's Rights, you have it there. You go to United Nations Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, you have it there. And so on and so forth. You go to section 12 of the Constitution that talks section 12 of the Electoral Act 2022 Electoral Act as amended. It's laid to bar who and who is to be registered as a voter. A citizen that has attained, mark my word, a citizen that has attained 18 years and above. So, but here we have 77.7 million people disenfranchised. And if you, going by the United Nations projected population of Nigeria as at, 2022, Nigeria is a country of 218.5 million because we are unable to conduct census. So we are using United Nations estimate. 218.5 million people as of December 2022. And out of this figure, 55%, approximately 120 million, are citizens in the 18 years and above bracket. In other words, citizens who are eligible to vote, to be registered to vote. Now, out of this 120 million, 77.5 million, 77.7 million are disenfranchised. Now, INEC has given us statistics that Nigeria will be going to 2023 presidential election with 93.5 million registered voters. Now, you and I know that for the fact that you are a registered voter is not a guarantee for you to vote in any election conducted in Nigeria, except where you have PVC. Now, the question is not about the number of people registered according to INEC. The question is how many of them have PVCs. And apart from how many of them that have PVC, the question is, those people that have PVCs, are they citizens of full-blood Nigerian citizenship? Are they persons of full-blood Nigerian citizenship in accordance with, I think, Section 28 of the Constitution? Are they persons of full-blood Nigerian citizenship? Because if you have, for instance, in Nigeria, out of 93.5 million, is it 93.5 million registered voters, as they said, right now, from our own independent finding, the number of people with PVC are not more than 40 million. Now, out of this figure, 10 million have already compromised their PVCs and VINs. VINs means voter identification, voter identification number. 10 million have already compromised, because election is about conscience. When you vote conscientiously, we say your vote is what? A living vote. When you vote with your conscience mortgage, we say your vote is what? Dead vote. So we have only 40 million people with PVC. Out of it, 10 million have compromised. So these are the statistics. So it's not about telling us that you have, Nigeria has 193.5 million registered voters and blah, 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 and all that. The question is, how many are conscientious PVC holders? So that is the challenge we have. And we have explained time without number the source. Because people will always ask you, how did you come about this 93, what do you call it, 77.7 million registered voters disenfranchised? And we have given the breakdown that includes 30 million unregistered voters, 20 million registered voters without PVC since 2019. That is to say, those registered in 2011, 2015, and 2019. Then 9.5 million newly registered voters who were majorly registered in 2019 without PVC, and 18.2 million new registrations that INEC frenziedly and frivolously destroyed. And it may interest you to know that there was a rush in voters registration in 2022. And INEC kept destroying those people, frustrating people, and people that stressed themselves successfully to be registered. INEC went and registered and destroyed 18.2 million, leaving only 9.5 million. These are statistics. It's not the formulation of the coalition society. They are statistics. In fact, we are quoting official statistics from INEC sources. So these are the problem. So how can you tell me that you are conducting a presidential election, or you are going to give Nigeria a credible election, the beavers will work wonders, this and that? That is nonsense. INEC is incompetent. Is incurably incompetent to conduct free and fair election in Nigeria. And must also that a gateway into free, fair, popular election is enfranchisement of most if not all citizens of voting age. And today we are having 77.7 million disenfranchised. And you know the worst part of it? Why professors like my good friend Njenje and others in the southern Nigeria, PhD holders, master's degree holders, and what have you, are here, you know, deloyalting or loitering the street, roaming the street, sorry, of southern southern Nigeria without PVC. Those living with disabilities in the north have PVC. Some of them, if not many of them. You know, I'm always conservative as a born again. So if not many of them have 4, 5, 6 PVCs. And you see, so what kind of election is that? So this is the challenge. Okay, now you came here and destroyed 18.2 million, and you accuse them of incomplete registration, blah blah blah, in southern part of the country. Up there in the north, you have millions of underage still flooding the voters list. And of course, I think that should be on 23rd January. INEC National Commissioner on Voter Education said clearly on Channels TV that they are cleaning underage for their record. Now the question, how many of underage have you cleaned? What is the status of the underage? And recently you conducted so-called PVC distribution. And up to today, you have not told Nigerians how that exercise went. How many children, Muslim children of age, did you give PVC? In the course of that, since you accepted back in January that you are cleaning underage for your record, and also the illegal migrants. I was told as a researcher, as the lead researcher, I'm the one who laid down research work of InterSociety that produced the 27-page report on INEC illegalities. And I was told by a high-rated diplomat who was ambassador to many countries. And the person told me that during the registration, control voters registration, 21 registration points, INEC coordinated registration point, existed in southern Nigeria. And in that our report, you could see where we quoted the military, the immigration service, the custom service, saying that they arrested several non-Nigerians coming into the country with INEC issued PVCs. INEC issued. And I'm sure this election, we are coming to that. So this is the bone of contention. And this is where the problem lies. So it's not the issue of making noise all over the place and say, but no, just get it into your head that INEC is going to this election with 77.7 million Nigerians disenfranchised. That is the situation. This issue of what is it that INEC is actually cooking. Unfortunately, you know, Prof, you know as I do, that when researchers talk, in some cases, many people may not agree with them until many months or years after what they said. So, we have done this research and be able to unmask what INEC is actually cooking for Nigeria with respect to this election. And we can tell you that, for instance, although we are still coming to, but let me just run a quick thing. I'll just give you a brief until we get to that point. In 2015 general election, presidential election, out of the total number of registered voters, 35% participated. And that 35% happened to be 30 million plus. I'm not saying that all those that the figure given there were the figures given there were legitimate. It's not what I'm saying. But according to, I'm quoting INEC, 30 million plus people voted in presidential election. And our later investigation, we found out that out of that 30 million, where 35% participated, 42% of the vote were fake votes. Because what is fake vote? You follow INEC mouth, what INEC tells you. If INEC said, we are going to conduct this election strictly based on card reader, PVC, and what have you, that is to say that any other thing that comes outside it is illegal. Now, that was when INEC insisted on PVC and the card reader. But in 2018, the cable and the deep dive intelligence had an exclusive report from INEC that what happened? 42% of the votes were what? Fake. And let me give you further breakdown. Buhari scored 15.2 million in that vote, in that election. And out of these 15.2 million, only 5.2 million came from PVC and card reader. 10.2 million came from manual, fake, so dead vote. Jonathan scored 12-point-something million. Out of these 12-point-something million, Jonathan fake vote in Jonathan's vote was 3.3 million. 9-point-something million was votes that came from PVC and card reader. And if you look at it by 36 state representation and the FCT, Buhari got fake vote from southern Nigeria, 17 states in southern Nigeria, to the tune of 190,000, and got 10 million from 19 northern states and the FCT. Out of these 19 northern states and the FCT, Buhari got 7,655,000. That is, Buhari here also includes APC. 7,650,000 fake votes from 12 states in the north. Let me stop at that. In 2019, the same Buhari got 9.2 million from the same 12 states in the north. What are those 12 states? See them here. See them there. The 12 states where Buhari got 7,650,000 in 2015 and 9.2 million in 2019. Out of, in 2019, he scored 15.1 million. He got 9.2 million from 12 states. And you look at that figure there, both Sokoto, Yobe, what have you, and those, Kanu, Katsina, and what have you. So let's stop at that. Let's go to other things. We are still coming to that. Then we are emphasizing on the presidency of Southeast extraction. Very, very important. Presidency of Southeast extraction. If you look at these statistics here, we have explained the importance of the press conference. We are now on to presidency of the Southeast extraction has been denied since 1957 to 1960. Then that chapter has to do with since 1957 for record. 1957 was the year Nigeria embarked on its transition to independence under parliamentary system of government, with the appointment of Tafawa Balewa as transitional prime minister. And in 1960, Nigeria got independence. Since that 1957 to today, presidency, the presidency of the country, the executive presidency or premiership of the country has never gone to people of this, the Southeast geopolitical zone. So if you go through it, you will see who and who has led Nigeria since then. Statistics are there. Abubakar Tafawa Balewa from President Bauchi in the Northeast was the premier, executive premier of of the country. Executive prime minister of the country. 1957 to 1960 and 1960 to 1966. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe was a ceremonial president. Then, because here we are only counting the democratic process or democratic dispensations, all over the world have come to be taught, including the prof, that military involvement in public governance is an aberration and does not count. So if you look at while the Southeast, the presidency of Southeast extraction is very, very legitimate and incontestable, you look at the statistics there. Then there is another thing that is very important here. So I'm just rushing it so that you have the text, you can read it. Then Southeast presidency, not winners take all. Unlike what we have today. Today we have, out of 22 top public appointive and elective public offices in Nigeria, a particular section of the country with a particular religion is in charge of 19. So the Southeast presidency is not going to, which we are agitating today, is not going to be part of it. So we have done critical research work and found out and identified 19 top public offices, federal public offices. And based on the handwork of Ekweme and the rest of others in 1993, is it 1994, is it 1994? 1994, 95, Constitutional Conference, we have the positions identified. You look at it there, the president of the country, since the South is demanding for presidency, you have 6 top federal elective offices. You have 6 top judicial offices, 6 and 7 top military defense and policing offices. So if you read through, you will see how it is mentioned. The presidency should go to the Southeast. The deputy, the vice presidents, yeah, president will go to the South. Okay. Sorry. Okay. It's how to share, I think. Is it?
Yeah. Yes.
How to share. Okay. How to share. You have the Eastern region, Southeast region president, Northwest vice president, Northeast Senate president, North Central. I hope I'm in line.
Yes.
North Central Speaker House of Reps, Southwest Deputy Senate President, North Central Speaker of House, Deputy Speaker of House of Reps, South Deputy President of Senate. Am I making mistake? Yes. Southwest Deputy President of Senate.
Southwest Deputy President.
Okay, and South Deputy Speaker of House of Reps. Yes. Then from the military and service chiefs, you have Northeast Chief of Defense Staff, North Central Chief of Army Staff, Southeast Inspector General of Police, Southwest Director General of State Security Service, South Chief of Naval Staff, Northwest Chief of Air Staff, and Southeast Director General of National Intelligence Agency. You go to top judicial officers. You have Southeast Chief Justice of Nigeria, What is there? Northeast what? Attorney General of the Federation, North Central, the Court of Appeal President, who again? Southwest what?
Chief Judge of the Federal High Court.
Chief Judge of the Federal High Court. South. And Northwest, Chief Judge of FCT. This is the spirit and letters of the CJO political zonal arrangement. So we are not the other. I don't want to mention them. But while we are demanding for the presidency of the Southeast, we are also mindful of the fact of inclusiveness in the arrangement, because Nigeria is a heterogeneous society and Nigeria must be pluralistically governed. Somebody said that Niger State alone, if managed, can feed Nigeria, the rest of the country. Now, the landmass of Niger State is larger than the entire landmass of the entire southern region. So that is the thing. And I will give you an instance of what happened in China. I don't know if you are aware. There is one man called Deng Xiaoping. He's a reformer. China was like this, like Nigeria. Everybody talking about religious jingoism, ethnic jingoism, and what have you. That man came and discovered that China has no place to call a parliamentary hall, a national parliament. The man now went and assembled all the architects, bricklayers, blah, blah, blah. He was the one, he's the master of direct labor service, direct labor. And he said, for the fact that China does not have money, will not prevent China from building what is necessary. And he gave them, I think, about a year and 6 months, a year and 4 months, to give China a befitting parliament. Have you heard, how many of you have heard of Chinese People's Mall, of Chinese People's Hall, the largest parliament in the whole world? Go and study, it was built through direct labor. And that singular act changed the psyche of China. And that was how China China got somersaulted. So that was because that man, they had a visionary as a leader. Deng Xiaoping is Googleable. So, but here, what do we have? We have bullion van doings of corruption. Those who are masters of bullion van and what have you, trying to do this and what have you. So, and so on and so forth. So, holding Nigeria to ransom, refusing the country to grow. And let me give you this instance. Let me give you this position. It is the position, my personal position, and I think the position of the coalition, that it is better, Nigeria is better off when it is pluralistically united. But whereby the people, the leaders refuse the country to be united pluralistically, then we look for another alternative. We can look for Velvet Revolution in Czechoslovakia. We can look for what happened in why are you laughing? We can look for what happened in Union of Soviet Socialist Republic after the crumbling of Berlin Wall in 1989. And in 1991, Soviet Union did what? Parted. And what? Into 15 what? States. Sorry, Prof, I don't want two of us to drive this vehicle too far. Let's come back to what we have today. So that is the thing. So if they refuse to allow this country to grow, to refuse to do that which is right, then I don't know the next thing to do for this country to somebody said, I think it was Brigadier General Paul Kagame, the current president of Rwanda. He was the leader of the Revolutionary Front of Rwanda in 1994, during the 1994 Rwandan genocide. Is it 94 or 1993? I think 1993 genocide. 1993 genocide. And at the point, the killings became so much to the extent that he was interviewed by Radio France International. And they asked him, General, why we noticed that these killings have suddenly stopped. What happened? And the man said, the killings have suddenly stopped, not because of changing of heart, but because there are few people left to be killed. So we don't want a situation where the leaders we have in this country end up in refugee camp. That is what we mean by complex, intractable complex uncertainties. It happened in Rwanda. If you remember the leader of Rwanda, Juvenal Habyarimana, he was not only killed by himself and his family members, ended up what? At refugee camp. So that is the essence of, so then again, federal judicial, there must be constitutionalization of distribution of public offices. You read it through, you see this thing. The sharing, the public offices in Nigeria, federal public offices in Nigeria, numbering 1,083, must be shared according to using the geopolitical arrangement. It's not in a situation where you have 90 90 commissioners of police, and the Southeast will be having one. It's arrant nonsense. And Northwest will be having 50. It's arrant nonsense. We can no longer exist in this type of stay in this type of country. So about book leakers, and the counterfeit Biafra agitators. I have said this severally. We can no longer understand the language of some persons. That is the truth. We can no longer understand the importance, what these people are leading us to. I can tell you that I don't know whether it is safe to say that the Southeast geopolitical zone, the people of the Southeast have been led to a point of no return, where these counterfeit Biafra agitators, if you go through the paper here, you see that we have how many? I think up to 6 types of counterfeit Biafra agitators. It's just like when you talk of election rigging in Nigeria, there are more than 50 dimensions to election rigging. In the Southeast here, there is unknown government, non-state actor unknown government dimension to election rigging. There is counterfeit Biafra agitators dimension to election rigging. There is government unknown government dimension to election rigging. There is military dimension to election rigging, deploy military. There is deploy policing forces dimension to election rigging. There is a political militia group, that is a Bubago dimension to election rigging. There is political killer squad dimension to election rigging. All these things are what we are suffering today. So we have people that say, no more election in Biafra land. You look at those who are saying it and those who are behind them. You find out that it has become a major source of election rigging. It was used in Anambra State in 2017. It was replicated in 2021. Aloysius Atta is here, and things like that. So the no more election in Biafra land has become a conduit pipe. It has been highly politicized and commercialized. So to the extent that presidential candidates from outside the Southeast are even failing it and funding it, using state-starched fund or stolen fund to recruit bootlickers here, strawmen, moles, for purpose of propagation of no more election in Biafra land. We don't even know where to go to. When you start a process as a criminologist, when you start a process, you look at the symmetric dimension, and that symmetric dimension of what you are trying to say. Is it? Are you matching the system symmetrically or asymmetrically? Where are you heading to? What is your mission? And so on and so forth. So we are very, very, very concerned over this issue of no election in Biafra land, because it is no longer business as usual. I think we have 5 categories of counterfeit Biafra agitators in Igbo land. You may not know that there are part of the counterfeit Biafra agitators comprising those citizens, non-Eastern citizens or non-Southeast citizens that were born 20 years ago here, born and bred here 20 years ago and above. They have now become an integral part of rampaging and ravaging deployed jihadist Fulani herdsmen. So we are here as researchers to unmask things that other people may not know. Apart from counterfeit Biafra agitators, we have book leakers. Those who are defacing. I can tell you that we have 4 candidates, presidential candidates from the Southeast. Unfortunately, the people we have, the mistakes we have in the corridors of power are ones behind, frustrating and sabotaging these 4 candidates of Southeast extraction. I know that, for instance, one of them belongs to a party that is in control of a state in the Southeast, specifically Anambra State. I've never seen the billboard or the man being elected here anywhere in Anambra State. But they are giving opportunity for candidates from other outside the state to come here and so on and so forth. So, I mean, that is why it is from investigation we have, I mean, the investigation we have carried out is strongly suggesting that youths are very angry. And the leaders have better watched themselves. Then we have this problem of because we must not lose direction of where we are going. We have the military. Unfortunately, in this country, when a country embraces democracy, every institution in that country becomes state actor democratic institution. The military, the police, the National Judicial Council, the judiciary, the legislature, everything. But in Nigeria, what do we see? We are seeing a very dangerous march into transformation of these institutions into undemocratic institutions. And one of them is the military. If you have read a few hours ago in the media, you would have noticed that the deployment of military have started. And what is their mission? So for terrorization of voters, just like it was the case in 2019. And even the international communities, the 32 democratic institutions, I mean international bodies, to watch the military, Nigerian military, because what they are cooking is not going to be favorable to Nigeria. So we have the military here as one of those institutions, state actor institutions identified as capable of making the 2023 presidential election very, very, very roguish and nasty. Then also our people in the judiciary. Judiciary has also been identified. If you look at what happened in the January 2020 Armada of Judicial Harakiri in Imo State. You look at what happened at the Presidential Election Tribunal. You look at the dark days of what is the name of that woman? Bukashua, what have you? Bukashua at the appeal court, and Mohammed Tanku at the Supreme Court. The legacy they led is yet to be deleted from the annals of the country. Now they have started again. You look at the case of Machina versus Lawan in Kebbi. You look at Oshun, where they are saying that people that went to vote, people that voted, they say, oh, you went and voted in polling stations that had over voting capacity and what are that nonsense. So that is the situation. And if a Supreme Court can award somebody who came fourth in governorship election and got him coronated as the governor of Imo State, what else they can do? So they are our friends, but we must have to point out that InterSociety has long time ago strike, not for lawyers who are here, but for InterSociety, corporately speaking, strike the justices of the Court of Appeal and justices of Supreme Court of that title of honorable justices and their lordships until further notice, and it is still in force till today.
America has done that.
Okay.
The justice and they refused visa US.
So good. So we must have to watch them. Then I have mentioned, we are no need of repeating this. I've just mentioned 16 key areas, key questions that INEC refused to answer after following the so-called distribution of permanent voters' cards. So, like I said, we do not know how many polling booths are located in Nigerian border, in Nigerian-Chadian border, in Nigerian-Cameroonian border, and what have you. So that section is Then, of course, the treatment of the people of Southeast, in their punishment, their tormentation for being voters, for voting, for seeking to vote candidate of their choice, conscientiously. So we have identified, read it through, you will see, I'm sure you must have read what happened in Lagos, where the resident electoral commissioner was referring to people of the Southeast as immigrants who migrated to Lagos, running away from insecurity in the Southeast. And on the basis of that, he accused them of engaging in double registration. These are the people that have been living in Lagos before he was born. So I think America and others will take care of that. Maybe they will stop him so that he will stop traveling to Somalia, Afghanistan, Lebanon, and so on and so forth. So we have most dangerous areas for East, people of the East, voters from the East, that's it, pastoralist Easterners, to vote. If you look at it, you will see the areas in Lagos and also in in northern part of the country, Kaduna, Gombe, Jos, Plateau, Kaduna, Kano, and so on and so forth. And of course, we identify Ebonyi and Imo State, I think so, as the most dangerous areas for Eastern voters in this coming election. You read it through, you will see it. Then one other area that is very important is Kaduna State, where the governor of the state recently made far-reaching derogatory remarks against Christians, against people of other faith and all that. So we are reminding him here that he is the architect. Is under him was this idea of Muslim developed. Under him. And under him, since he became the governor in 2015, not less than 4,000 Christians, mostly Christians, have been hacked to death, and 6,000 abducted because of radical propagation of Muslim ticket. So we have the history, the record of who and who had become the deputy governor of the state. There was this charter of equity in Kaduna State, where the deputy governor of the state is zoned to Christian, along other key positions. But this man came after 2015 election. In 2018, he changed everything. He nominated a Muslim as deputy, and on assumption of office in 2019, he made sure that the chief judge of the state, the speaker of House of Assembly, the majority leader, blah, 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 or what? Zoned to what? Muslim. So, if you are talking about Muslim ticket in a country of roughly 50-50 Muslim-Christian composition, the origin of Muslim ticket came from Kaduna State under A-Rufai. That is the reply we have for him. Then, of course, finally, we have presentation of this graphic tables. So I can get us that in, so let's conclude. So, yeah, it's self-explanatory in, let me use this thing because some people are afraid of this particular thing. I didn't say this so I laughed. No, we are facing the media. Now I'll be born again. So you see it now. I think all of us can see it. Can you see it? Okay. This is it. Self-explained. Graphic table 1. Presidential election 2015. 12 major presidential regions in Northern State. And their total man was shown, faith vote for Bulgaria and APC. What happened was in 2015, according to, are we listening? According to Keppel, be careful. If you Google, just Google December, is it? What is the date? December 8, 2018. You have it, I get. The Keppel and the deep dive intelligence. publish exclusive report from INEC. Look at it here. How Nigerian elections, presidential elections are conducted in Nigeria. Look at it here. Look at it. Now, you have those 12 major leading states. Adamawa, Bauchi, Borno, Jigawa, Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Niger, Sokoto, Yobe, Zamfara. What is the illustration? You look at it here. The number of fake votes. Just like I explained, if INEC says this election is going to be anchored on Rivers, IRF, PVC, only for you to find out that some votes, came from or have come from sources other than these three prescriptions. In the eyes of the law and convention, they instantly become what? Dead votes or dead stroke, manual stroke, fake stroke, dead votes. Now you have this in 2015, INEC insisted on the use of card reader and the PVC. Look at this percentage, look at the scores. Look at in Adamawa, 296,000 plus dead votes, 27,000 votes from PVC. In Bauchi, 627,000 plus dead votes, 304,000 votes from PVC or living votes. You see now you call it dead. That is, this one is living votes. This one is dead votes. Then you go to Borno, the Boko Haram ravage, insurgency ravage area. You have it here. Borno, what is it? 317,000 plus dead votes, 155,000 living votes. Jigawa, 241,000, 141,000 living votes. 744,000, sorry, dead votes. You go to Kaduna, 800,000, the home of 85. You can understand why 85 is
Talking the way.
Is talking, is ranting. In Kaduna, his own Kaduna, 800,000, 122 dead votes. 5 what? 327,000 living votes. You go to Almighty Kano. Buhari, vote for Buhari, not the entire 2015 presidential election, vote for Buhari alone. Buhari got 1,358,000 plus dead votes. Living votes there, 545,000. You go to Katsina, his own state, 1,045,000 dead votes. Living votes, 299,000. You go to Kebbi, 490 what? 496,000 plus. Yeah, 71,000. You go to Niger, dead vote, 164,000 living vote. You go to Sokoto, 88,000 dead vote, 3,000 plus living vote. Yobe, how many? 302,000 dead vote. Then 149,000 living vote. So Zamfara.
Let's look at it in the bigger picture.
So you see, that is the whole world, graphically, so that, okay. Now this is another table for it. Okay, this one comprises accredited voters. Look at their numbers here. And the number of accredited voters. Vote from BBC to INEC. Look at it. Then manuals to date for fake votes. Look at the figure here. Look at the total. First 1/10 of that system. 7,650,000 dead votes. Living 5,000 plus. Then if you add 190,000 dead votes for southern Nigeria, you have 10.2 million. Is that? Okay, you have the total here. What is it? Okay. Yeah.